underestimate the power of PlayStation.
What? Oh, the new segment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The new segment.
I don't know.
Is the ghost gone?
Is the ghost gone?
The ghost is dead. We killed it with our rifles.
So it's a news segment, not to be confused with the news segment?
No, it's a
A news segment.
Time for something new.
Is it a new segment called Hang Around?
Yeah, it's called Hang Around.
Hang in there?
No, this is something we have ideas for a lot of new segments.
Yeah.
But one of them that we're super excited for is called we're calling it Beyond's Essential 50.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what that is, Max?
Yeah, so basically we decided that there are a lot of PlayStation games out there.
Yeah.
They made a whole bunch of them over the course of 4 different PlayStations and 15 smaller PlayStations that could fit into different sized cargo pockets on your pants.
Yep.
So we decided that we should kind of create sort of a collection of the essential games. How it's going to work is one of us is going to show up with a cool book report about, not a book, but a game we think should be an essential PlayStation title across all the Sony platforms, and then explain what's so great about it, and then the rest of us will vote on whether or not we agree and whether or not it sounds like a cool essential thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to assemble 50 of these things.
Yeah, and they're going to be. We're primarily doing not just first-party things, but things that we're associating with Sony. So, like something like BioShock can't be on here, or Mass Effect. But like I would say, something like Snake Eater could. Even though Snake Eater went on to different consoles and handhelds, we still sort of associate that as a PlayStation product.
It got its start there.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing as Final Fantasy VII. So, Jared, you're fortunate enough to be number one.
I'm honored.
Impress us.
All right, I'll do my best. So I thought hard about this, and at first I wanted to go with something that was just like a shoe-in. You know, you think about something like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is just has to be there, maybe the best PlayStation game ever. Or you look at something like Final Fantasy Tactics, and then I realized, these are going to come along eventually. So instead I wanted to think about a game that was not the greatest PlayStation game ever, but that encapsulated what made the first PlayStation generation great. That wonderful experimental nature, that cheaper media. Compact discs were a big deal.
Yeah.
And they made it easier to try new things in games than it had been for a very long time. And so my nominee for Essential 50 is Square's Bushido Blade, developed by Lightweight, which is a 3-dimensional weapon-based fighting game for the PlayStation. It got a terrible sequel. It's now completely dead. But it's this wonderful, quirky, small game. And how many of you guys have played it? Have you played Bushido Blade? Okay,
Yeah,
you have.
I used to. I mean, during the PS1 era, I think I played literally every Square. I think I owned literally every Square game. Including, like from weird things like Saga Frontier 2, Brave Fencer Musashi and Einhander.
Deep cuts.
Right. Yeah, Einhander.
I was going to say, this is exactly a deep cut.
And I went.
Okay.
I see what you're doing
sorry.
there with the swords. Now, so you have a small cast of characters, all of which are unique, and then you can pair them up with different weapons. So somebody's not locked into the weapon that you think would be default for them. You can try all kinds of combinations with them. So even though you have a small roster of fighters, there's actually a lot of different ways to go at it. The arenas are all interactive 3-dimensional places. It's like a beautiful beach at sunrise and on a Japanese coastline, or a bamboo forest like straight out of Ninja Scroll, or a few of these kind of iconic locations. And you fight, but there's no life bars.
What?
No, there's no life bars at all. Instead, it's purely realistic weapon-based combat. If you slice someone in the throat, they die instantly. No. If you stab somebody through the heart, they're dead. If you nick somebody in the leg, they might limp a little. Wow. If you injure, and it slows them down. You can fall on the ground and throw dirt in somebody's face, and it'll stun them for a second. If you're a ninja-type character, you might have shuriken hidden in your sleeve, and it certainly won't kill the guy, but it might disarm him for a second, or wound him, or slow him down. You can lose your weapon, and the other guy can pick it up and stab you with it, as they're laying there rolling around.
I love this concept. I'm amazed we don't get fighting games like this anymore.
Yeah.
Especially now, because I know the way you're describing it, I'm picturing the coolest, most realistic. Like the vision in my head right now is like a John Woo movie, but I know it really looks like it's a bunch of triangles and squares.
It is a bunch of triangles and squares, but the art direction is good, despite the fact that it's a fairly primitive 3D game. The direction's great. So and there's not a lot of music. So like when you're at the bamboo forest, you just hear this kind of. Or when you're on the beach, you just hear the surf.
That sounds
and
wonderful.
You're standing there facing each other with no background music, looking across the way, and somebody moves, and sometimes a fight lasts 3 seconds, sometimes it lasts 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just depending on how the interaction goes.
I love that.
I
That's so
love
cool.
that
So
game.
this is actually a game that I've been told about numerous times by different people, and I've never been able to go check it out for whatever reason. I never took the time to do that. It's funny, though, because I know that a game that actually draws a lot from it is Nidhogg.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's that same sense of, I love the idea of, so many video games are reliant on numbers. They're reliant on this kind of very finite, kind of just organized sense of, what works and what doesn't. And this sounds like really kind of loose and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it has that same, like Jared was saying, or like a game of Nidhogg, it can end so quickly. Like with one mistake it ends, or you can have this like super tense minute-long back and forth, which is just really amazing. And also, it's insane. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said this was like when Sony introduced the discs, like they were able to take weird risks. You know, we were able to get games like Parappa the Rapper and like Intelligent Cube and yeah, and it's the fact that they were doing this 18 years ago, 19 years ago, whenever it came out, and we're now just getting back to that risk-taking nature on digital games, I think is so cool and showed how progressive the PS1 as a whole was.
And that's why I chose this, because I feel like it, as well as any game, maybe better than most, it encapsulates that wonderful era. 1995 to 1999 for the PlayStation, people were trying just the most ridiculous stuff, and some of it was awful.
We call it the Clinton era.
Yeah, we're back to the night. Some of it was awful, but some of it was Einhander. You know, exactly. and that's just great. And I think that's part of what makes PlayStation, without getting too sentimental here, part of what makes PlayStation kind of magical in a nostalgic way for us is that they enabled that. The PlayStation 1 let people do things with games that weren't possible before. And that's why I think this game belongs in the Essential 50. Also, it's a lot of fun. The single-player campaign's neat. They got little tricks in there. I didn't even mention this. There's like an obfuscated honor system where you get different endings depending on whether or not you're sneaky. Like, if you do, like, backhanded stuff in the sword fights, you can't get the good ending.
Yeah.
Like, you throw dirt in somebody's face. Oh, tough. There's no signal. It'll tell you this is just like at the end, like, oh, you are dishonorable. Or else you just fight a guy with a gun at one point, and that sucks because one bullet kills you. But you can get him.
Is that like real life? Does a bullet kill you?
Why did you look at me? I haven't been shot.
Oh.
You look like
if
you've been
anyone
shot,
at this
though.
table looks like they've been shot, it's
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Have any of us ever been shot? I've never been shot.
What?
No, that's not a common thing. Most people don't
I'm gonna be
have that
honest,
story.
most
to
IGN
tell.
editors haven't been shot.
I would say probably all IGN editors.
I'll bet you somebody here's been shot.
Probably someone on the video team.
They all shot.
They all look
Yeah.
like dock workers.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I mean, a few people have been shot in your life. There's probably somebody in the 100 people in here. Somebody's been shot.
I don't know what the odds are or the stats on people being shot. Is it 1 out of 100?
No, I think it's less. Actually.
like 1 in 1,000 people get shot.
I don't know.
I know that Michael on our video team got stabbed at one point.
That's like getting shot with a.
pretty close.
Yeah, that's shot with a knife.
Getting stabbed, I feel like is much more common. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. More people stab people than have guns to shoot people.
Also, more people survive getting stabbed than
There
getting
you
shot.
go.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and they can live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So
Bushido Blade.
yeah.
Yeah, Bushido Blade with the swords and the guns.
Yeah.
So I submit for your approval, gentlemen, this fine, innovative little game, which it remains a crowning jewel in the PlayStation library, and will run on your PlayStation 3 if you can find the disc somewhere, because I haven't been able to find any other legit way to play it.
Is it? It's not digital. Or
I don't think
anything
it's
like
on PSN.
Wow,
No.
damn.
Hunt that down.
I hope
We're
I'm not
gonna-
misinforming our audience, but
No,
I
we're
don't
going to
think it is.
single-handedly spike all the eBay listings right after this
Yes.
episode goes live.
Yep. Well, that's a
Single-handedly, 'cause
great
the other one got cut off.
that's a great kind of
By
entry into
Blade.
this.
Yeah,
So-
I'm going with yeah. Just especially for the reason that you said, like, yeah, the game is rad, but also because it's sort of like it's iconic of that era. Like, it is that risk-taking era. So yeah.
Also, Jared could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
Yeah.
You're very good at this.
Is that a thing?
No, yeah.
Sweet, thank you.
Tommy Boy reference, you guys.
Oh, I
Only
forgot
90s
about
kids
that.
will remember that.
Ketchup jelly beans I know from A Boy and His Blob, but ketchup popsicles.
Did they ever really make the ketchup? I'm sure they did. They made hot sauce once.
I'm
These
sure
guys
they
at Jelly
probably
Belly
did.
are street crazy.
Have you ever gone up there to the factory?
No, I really wanted to for years. Though.
Let's go together one day. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that sounds like we're going to
Go
scare
to
a lot of
Jelly
people on the
so
way.
anyway,
in.
number one PlayStation podcast. This is Beyond.
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.